Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Summer McCall with Ministry of Folk. We are very excited to have with us today filmmaker Dylan of Dooster Films. Many of you may be familiar with Dylan's work within the folk scene, from music videos to our recent favorite viral video that was in the finale of the Pure Dead Brilliant virtual concert that was aired on April 14th. Dylan, thanks so much for being here today.
Hey, Summer. Thanks for having me.
So let's start off by just having a little idea of how you got involved in filmmaking.
How I got involved in filmmaking. It was a long time ago. I think I was probably about 12 years old. And geez, I think the first thing that happened was a group of friends and I were working together on a science project for our science class in middle school. And for whatever reason, we ended up deciding to make a video about litter in our hometown. And we went around the neighborhood, knocking on doors and filming people, interviewing them about litter. And I think that was the first real video that I made. And we had so much fun doing it that we kept doing it.
Yeah.
And I actually still work with one of my friends who I was making films with back then. His name's Ryan.
Very nice. Very nice. So we're seeing a lot of filmed projects coming from you through the Fiddle community. And I'm curious about how you got involved with this folk scene, Fiddle scene, as you would call it.
Yeah, I feel like the fiddle and trad music scene I've sort of been in it for maybe a little over 3 years now, but I feel like it had been on my periphery for far longer than that. Maybe as long as I've been making films that far back. I've always been drawn to that style of music, but I never knew anybody or had friends who were playing it or were interested in it. It would just sort of pop into my life once in a while. I hate to hear something on the radio, or I'd see Celtic Woman playing on PBS. That was oh my God, whenever that was on, I would go watch it. It sounds silly now, but that, it had a huge effect on me.
Yeah.
And finally, a few years ago, I sort of broke into it because I met some people who were traditional musicians, and immediately started. I mean, I played music most of my life, but it was mostly rock and jazz, and I played piano. But yeah, I picked up the fiddle and dove in.
Well, that's so great to hear. I'm so glad that you're a part of this. So now looking at this video that came out on April 14th, that has received close to 100, if not over 100,000 views already. So I'm curious about how you were asked to be a part of this project.
I wasn't asked directly, actually. So I'm on the Pure Dead Brilliant Facebook group, and I think Hanukkah had posted just some sort of vague request for people who were good at technology, and I sent her a direct message saying, "What's up, Hanukkah? Yeah, maybe I could help you."
Yeah, and for those who don't know, Hanukkah Castle is a fantastic fiddler in the Boston area, and she has a music camp that happens out here in Massachusetts every February called Pure Dead Brilliant. So that's what we're referring to, as she hosted a concert virtually on the 14th.
Great.
So yes, yeah. Please continue.
Sorry, I should have clarified all that first.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's good.
And that was it. And she, at first, she was just wondering about sort of how this might happen, if two musicians who weren't together in this time of isolation would be able to play together, and if I could sort of put two videos together like that. And I was like, yeah, sure, that's no problem. I can sort of facilitate that and edit that. And not long afterward, she came to me with the idea of doing a finale, and that got me really excited.
Yeah, it's amazing. For those of you who haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. But many of us have, and we see that you have, I don't even know how many musicians you have involved in this one video. So what I'm curious about is kind of your process on how this video came to be, and the challenges and the software, all of that. If you wouldn't mind just giving us kind of a little tutorial breakdown of what this was like for you to create this video.
Yeah, sure. I can sort of run through surface level the process and the software, and I'll share my screen. But just sort of to cover the initial part, what we did essentially is Hanukkah created an arrangement of a few tunes with Neil Pearlman, I believe, another amazing musician, a pianist who lives here in Portland, same place where I am. And yeah, so they made this arrangement, and then Hanukkah recorded a video of herself playing through the entire thing.
Okay.
And we then sent that video to all of the musicians who were participating, and they would, put in their headphones, listen to Hanukkah playing, and play along on the parts where they were supposed to.
How many people was that in total?
People definitely over 40.
My gosh, wild. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so she sent it out to all of them, and
we sent it out to all of them. I sort of like I sent an email with a bunch of instructions on sort of basic tech stuff, and trying to keep things as consistent as possible given the circumstances. And yeah, then eventually people started recording their videos and sending them to me. And as I got them one by one, I would sort of like, at this point, I guess we can go into the software stuff. So the first thing I needed to do was line them all up, sync them all up, which seems like a task, but it's really not that bad. Should I share my screen now?
Yeah, let's go for it. Let's see what you got going.
Let me share screen. So the first piece of software that I put into, can you see that, Summer?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Got Callum Bell over there.
Callum Bell is in there. Yeah, he just happens to be the layer of video that is on the top right now. So that's the one you see. So this is an editing software called Premiere. It's part of the Adobe suite of softwares.
And does that cost money to download?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, this is I work in this software every day. This is my professional.
Got it.
Tools.
Got it.
Okay. What'd you say?
I asked how much, if you remember, this software costing.
Well, it's like a few years back they transferred it to a subscription service, so you pay like a monthly fee, and they auto update the software for you and everything, so you don't have to worry about like buying new versions or whatever.
That's good.
I don't remember what it costs. I think we pay for a business account, so it's probably different than if you were an individual.
Okay, and one more time, you said it was called Premiere?
Premiere is the software. Adobe makes it.
Okay. So let's see what you got going here.
So you can see my mouse moving, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So down here is the timeline, where you sort of line everything up. It's where the editing happens, and I can sort of make this bigger so we can see it a little better. And as I make it bigger, you can see how many layers there are. So each one of these tracks is one video, and they're all labeled. You can see all the names. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I sort of dropped each one in, and then down here are the audio tracks that are associated with each video file. Oh. And you can see the waveforms, which is nice, and that sort of helps line things up. But essentially, I would just drop them one at a time, and move them, nudge them frame by frame until they lined up with Hanukkah's track.
Okay. And had you had much experience with auto tech like this? Audio?
Yes. Yeah, I do. Especially for our personal projects for my company, I do almost all of the audio production.
Got it. Okay.
So
did you have to put Hanukkah at the bottom of the list, or did it not really matter?
It doesn't really. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter. And while this is an editing software, this is the only thing I used this piece of software for, was to line everything up. After I got everything lined up, I moved it to a couple different other softwares to do the rest of the work.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's move on from there.
Yeah.
They're all lined up. Great. Now I have this very particular small piece of software that can take the information in this particular project, the edit, and transfer it into a file that can be read by my digital audio workstation, which is called Reaper.
Say that again.
The audio software that I use to like mix and do all the audio editing is called Reaper.
Reaper. Okay.
And I can take a file from Premiere and it can be read by Reaper.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'll move it over to Reaper now because that's the next thing I did. I started in on the mixing. Let's see. Share screen. Okay.
Whoa.
Here's Reaper. A little more colorful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the audio software. So you don't have any visuals in here. It's just all of the audio tracks, but they retain their alignment, which is nice. And this is where I did all of the mixing according to Hanneke's notes on the arrangements. So like there were occasions when like one of the fiddlers would play through a section where there wasn't supposed to be fiddles, so I had to, turn the volume down or whatever. And the quality of audio throughout all of these tracks was quite varied. Some people were shooting on their phones. Some of them had professional microphones. Some of them had a direct line out of there. Like I know Neil was playing on a digital keyboard, so he gave me a direct line out of his keyboard. So it was all over the map, the quality of the audio, which was a really interesting challenge to get it to sound decent.
Right.
And I sort of organized it too. You can see on the left side here, everybody's names. So there's a little folder here for the cellos. There's the guitars there. This bottom section is all the fiddles.
Wow.
There's probably like 20 fiddles there.
Amazing.
Yeah. And you can see even if you just look at the waveforms here, you can see sort of like, okay, the fiddles are playing through here and then everybody breaks right here. Everybody breaks right here.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. I'm kind of fascinated by like audio that's turned into a visual.
Yeah. It makes more sense for me as a visual learner to see it like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So I had a bunch of back and forths with Hanneke, and I would, send her versions and she would give me notes on the mixing and, make sure the harmonies can be heard really well here and boost Natalie over here and all this stuff.
Right. I love how I could hear Mari playing her harp in it.
Yes.
And harps get followed up. So good job on that.
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. And it was really a great learning experience for me because I've never mixed music with this many musicians.
Yeah. You did a good job for your first time at that. It's amazing.
Thanks.
And so from the time that Hanneke asked you to be involved in this project, how long did you have to put all of this together with the visuals, with the audio, with everything? Were you working up till the last minute? What was this like for you time-wise?
Yeah. Well, we established that I was going to be doing the work, a few weeks in advance, but I couldn't actually do the work until I had the content. So that depended on the musicians sending me the stuff. And so the concert was on a Tuesday,
right?
And I set a deadline for the musicians of the Friday before that, I believe, to get me the stuff, all their video files.
Did you get them?
For the most part, yes. I had pretty much everything on Friday. I think there were a couple stragglers that might have sent it on Saturday morning.
You probably know who they are. Yeah.
But I got everybody. And it was, I didn't count the hours, but I know that Sunday and Monday were very full days of work. Monday night was a very full night of work. And the rest of Tuesday, almost, and I'll be very honest here, I was working and, you know, rendering the final output of the video even into the first half hour of the broadcast of the concert.
That's amazing.
And Jacob DeVita, who was doing all the broadcast tech,
Yeah.
and he did an amazing job. I had sent him the final file, probably 20 minutes before he had to play it.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's so great. Yeah, we're gonna be
Pushed it to the limit.
We're gonna be talking with Jacob in our next interview about his experience as well. So
that'll be fun
to hear how it went for him. So one last question on the editing. You have all these really cool layouts and ways the videos fade in. Is that a template of a separate software, or what?
So I can, yeah, that's the next piece of this. So I showed you the lining it up in Premiere. I showed you the audio mixing in Reaper. So the audio section kind of goes into Reaper, and that's where I finalize that. And the visual section I bring into another piece of software, which I will, I'll screen share that with you now. Okay, this piece of software is another part of the Adobe suite of software. Is called After Effects.
Okay.
It's another piece of software that I work in quite frequently. I used to use it a lot more because when I was in college, I actually studied animation, and almost everything that I did went through this software.
Okay, and you went to RISD, correct?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so it went through this software.
So it looks a little similar to Premiere in that it has a timeline. It's got like a main viewing window and all that. And technically you can edit in here. You can line up clips and, but it's built for something a little different, which is, I guess the general term you could say is compositing, which is taking pieces of video content and visually stitching them together. So as you can see, I've got it on right now on the frame where it's pretty much all divided into tiny little windows, a fiddler in each one.
Yeah, I like that term, stitching them together. It's like a quilt. It's what it's like. A
yeah, it does.
Quilt.
It looks like a quilt of fillers. So I took the lined up visuals from Premiere, brought them into here.
Okay.
And so they're all in this timeline for me. And then I can essentially take them and tell them where I want them to be and when.
Oh.
So for instance, let me see if I can do a little example here. We'll take Jenna. Jenna's right here.
Yeah.
So the first thing I had to do was make them squares. If I take Jenna and delete, what I did was I put a square mask around her video. So like, it will only show what's in that square. If I delete that mask, you'll see the rest of her video. See that? So that sort of cuts it off where I want it to be. And then I can do things like change the size of it.
Oh yeah, okay.
I can do anything really. I can rotate it, move it around wherever I want. And in this particular shot, I actually did make black bars sort of as a guide for myself almost, to sort of divide the screen into. I didn't do that for every shot. It's kind of a lot of work to make all those for every shot. But it was helpful for this particular one. And then, yeah, it's just a matter of timing it. I do have the audio in here.
Yeah, because I loved how you had scenes change on like the repeat of an A part. Like, clearly you are a filmmaker who knows this music, at least the form of it. So
yeah,
that was really tactful.
I think that's a unique position that I'm in, and I try to practice that and take advantage of it whenever I can when I'm making music videos and things. And I think it's cool to know both sides of it, because I mean this shot that I'm showing right now, it's got all the cellos.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure this was a section of the video where in the audio, the cellos were featured. So that's what I was trying to do is work the visuals to match the arrangement of the music. And
Yeah.
also just give it, build the excitement in a similar way that the music is already doing.
That's so interesting. Okay. Yeah. So then it all just gets saved and comes together, and then boom.
Right.
Sleepless
It's,
nights together. But
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it's going through this and like making each of these divided frames took a very long time. And I'm sure there are, I mean, even now I have ideas about how I could streamline this process and make it a little simpler for me.
Okay. Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't have time to do those experiments and figure that out, because I was doing this on the fly, and I just needed to like
Yeah.
sort of brute force get through it.
This was one of my favorite clips with Katie playing the whistle.
Yes. Look at her face.
Knows what she's doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. There were a handful of folks who recorded their videos, and on the parts where they weren't playing, they would dance or do silly stuff, which was great, because I love like putting that in when someone, like, this is a section where Elias the piper is featured, but Jenna and Katie are being silly over here.
Yeah, it's so great. And there was also a clip of Galen and Maria doing the same. Yeah.
Yes.
You can just
Galen
tell
and Maria.
Such a good time.
There they are.
There they are. Yeah.
This was Neil's piano solo. Lissa was a great dancer. Yeah.
Yes. So good. We did such a great job with this. Just to kind of conclude your process, then you would export it into what, after it was all done? Was it just like what you sent to Jacob was saved in what kind of way?
Do you want me to like get into like technicalities of bit rates and compression and that sort of thing?
Well, okay. Now that you ask, I think what we'll recommend is I would like to actually know if you are available for hire for lessons on going deeper into those kinds of things, because my mind continues to have questions, and I know there's so many of us folk musicians and beyond that are trying to get creative and figure out all these tech things. And
yeah,
do you offer private lessons?
I would be happy to. I haven't actually done it, but I did teach animation as a teaching assistant at Harvard for 5 years, and I have a lot of experience sort of guiding people who are new to software into it. And I think I learned a lot by teaching it, because you spend years working in these softwares every day, and it becomes just like an extension of your mind and your hand. And there are things that you take for granted that most people don't even know.
Right.
So,
well, that's wonderful to know. We'll include your contact information in the comment section down below, or in the description of this interview. And yeah, just before we're all done here, I'd like to know, what other projects have you been working on recently, or through Dooster Film or beyond? What are a few things that you could briefly touch upon?
Sure. The most, actually, it was kind of interesting timing. We've had one film out for a while that's been in festivals called Coming Home.
Okay. And
this is a film about the mountain running community in Ireland. Ryan, my co-director, and I, we do a lot of outdoor adventure fitness sort of videos. And our friend Patty is an amazing ultra runner. And we came up with this idea for our project, and sort of a story of him returning to Ireland and rediscovering Ireland through running, because he was never a runner when he lived in Ireland. He lives in San Francisco now. Right.
And I have seen this, and the visuals are just amazing. You kind of get transported to Ireland through the mind of a runner.
There's a lot of good trad music in there too. I tapped into the trad community, and a lot of generous folks let me use their tracks.
Where can we find that?
It is now, so a couple weeks ago we released it to the public online for free. So it's up on Vimeo.
Okay.
If you search Coming Home on Vimeo, I'm sure it will come up. Yeah, and then and actually in the same week, we had another ultra running project premiere. It's called the Sky Project, and it's about another ultra runner. Her name is Magda. Uh,
Okay.
she's from Poland, but she also lives in the San Francisco area, and it's about her as a person, but it follows her attempt to run the Tahoe Rim Trail, which is about 170 miles around Lake Tahoe.
Okay, that's where I'm from. Yeah, that's amazing. You should check
Yeah.
that out. So I heard through the grapevine that one of your films has just been selected for Vimeo Staff Pick. Is
Oh
that
yeah,
correct?
that was Coming Home. Coming Home
Yeah.
got a staff pick recently, which was
Congratulations.
so super exciting. Thank you. Brian and I we've used Vimeo for years as our platform and just a way to show our work. And I forget when it was, but a long time ago they started doing a staff picks list where like the people who worked at Vimeo would select films that they thought were really great and put them on this list, and everyone would see them and they'd get thousands of views.
Yeah.
And for so long we have dreamed of making it onto that list, and
Ah,
just a couple days ago they selected Coming Home, which was really exciting.
congratulations. That's huge. That's really big. So for anybody out there who has not yet seen Coming Home, go ahead and check that out. But first, definitely check out the PDB finale that we went nice and in depth with today. That will also be available in the comments section below. So Dylan Lads, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us here at Ministry of Folk. My name's Summer McCall. Is there any last comments you'd like to share?
Uh, Thanks for having me. I was so happy to be able to bring all of those musicians together. It felt really special to be able to do that and share it with the world. I
Yeah.
hope it brought a lot of joy to a lot of people,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I would love to do more of that.
Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Dylan Lads, you can contact him with the information included below. And stay tuned for future interviews. We'll have Jacob DeVita up next in a couple days or weeks. We'll see. And then we'll have a few more with audio engineering from a couple different people. So thank you so much, Dylan. We will see you again.
Thanks, Summer.
Okay. Take care. Bye.